and I need to start recording. Great. Okay, so today basically it's part two of what's been happening with COVID-19, the things that I have been encountering um, just by talking with other agents and other brokers and webinars that I've been attending. I at least share or I at least attend one webinar once a day or once every 2 to 3 days. So let me go ahead and begin with the first slideshow here. So some of the challenges that I continue to see with in the mortgage industry. As you know, we're going to have a lot of homeowners that are going to be applying for forbearance. And during this time, banks are not going to be receiving payments from these homeowners. So with, millions of existing homeowners delaying their mortgage payments through forbearance, the risk adverse lenders have been tightening their credit standards for new loans. That could be another drag on what's expected to be possibly a slow recovery due to these strict guidelines now that we may be seeing mortgage lenders implement. The other challenge that we continue to see is the low inventory. As you know, a lot of sellers pull their properties off the market with concerns of people coming into their homes, possibly touching countertops and door handles and things like that. So we saw a lot of sellers that pulled back. We're slowly starting to see some of those properties coming back on the market, but there's still a lot of them out there that are temporarily off the market. So what we're seeing is either multiple offers. So it's a good thing for the sellers, for those that are currently have their listings active. It's a good thing for them because they are receiving several offers for their property. And unfortunately for the buyers, there's not a lot of inventory for them to go out there and see. So some buyers are actually just waiting for this to pass. And that way, once these sellers put their properties back on the market, now the buyers have more properties to choose from. Obviously, how we are doing business that now has changed from what was traditional, which is face to face. For those of you who like to sit down with your customers, even showing properties, right? We have the option now to send them a link so they could see a virtual tour. Because in reality, if the buyers are not ready to buy in the next 30 days, then they really shouldn't be going in person to see the property. They should be looking at the virtual tours, right? So, for a lot of people that, especially first-time home buyers, right, to look at a house online and to say, oh, yes, I think that I want to move forward, that could be very challenging, right? And it could be very challenging for us as realtors as well to say, well, you saw the house and you liked it, so why don't we go ahead and put in an offer, right? That may be a little bit too much to ask for, especially for first-time home buyers, but it definitely did open the doors for us to show properties either with FaceTime or Facebook video chatting. it's a new way now to show properties to those buyers that are overseas, right? Because we do have a lot of buyers that are overseas that now have the opportunity to see these homes um, online, and some of them, will go ahead and move forward with the putting in an offer and going through with the sale of the home. I have spoken to many of our agents that have shown property through the video chat, and they've put in offers, and they are currently in the contract. So um, for those that like to meet in person face to face to have the customer sign the documents, that is a bit challenging as well. If you are not familiar with the e-signature, I know that I still have agents who like to get that signature with the wet ink, right? But unfortunately, if we have buyers that we cannot meet with them face to face, and we have to use technology for that. And this is a wonderful opportunity to embrace technology and learn DigiSign in SkySlope if you're not already using something else. Um, DigiSign, it's offered through SkySlope, and it's something that we should be taking advantage of. It is very user friendly. There is actually a tech button that you can click on, and then you could type in DigiSign, and it'll give you tutorials on how to use it. So I definitely recommend that you continue to embrace technology through these very unique times, because as time goes on, we're going to be using technology. When we are going to be depending more and more and more on technology. I remember I was a banker in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And back when the banks introduced the ATM card and the debit cards, we had a lot of people who would just refuse to use one. They would come to the bank and they would return the debit card to us. They would hand it over to us, and they said, I'm not asking for this card, and I don't want it. And it really took time for people to adjust and start using debit cards. Sometimes from time to time, you'll still see someone at the register, like at Publix, writing a check, right? But those times we have to we have to put behind us. We really need to be looking at what tools we could be using. Every MLS is different, and some offer different tools, and you really need to be familiar with the tools that your MLS offers and see which one is going to work for you, okay, for your market, for how you do business, how comfortable you are using the tool. So this is definitely a time for you to just look at those tools and start using them, because they're not going to be going away. They're not going to be going away, and they are going to definitely make our life easier. The other topic that I wanted to go over was force majeure. So I get frequently questions about the force majeure. Our legal hotline, from what I understand, they are bombarded with phone calls about this. Keep in mind that yes, COVID-19, it is an act of God. However, with that said, it really needs to be specific. If either party cannot perform, okay, it really needs to be specific to COVID-19, okay. There is a great video on for the realtors.org about force majeure, okay, that talks about it, and they really, they want us to, again, as agents, we should be working with the other agent to make the transaction work, right? To put the transaction together and to work together to complete the transaction. Okay. If either party is being unreasonable for whatever reason, that's where we come in and we try to, make it work and try to understand each party's side, right? Because a seller may be very upset because, one week before closing, now the buyer cannot close for maybe they, change your mind. Okay. Well, in that case, you really can't use force majeure because it is, yes, although we are living in times that, COVID-19 is an act of God, but the buyer cannot use that as an excuse because they changed their minds. Okay. So try to be a facilitator and encourage whatever party you are representing to perform. Okay, and to go through with the transaction. If because of fear or other factors they are not allowed to complete the transaction, and then keep in mind that both parties are losing here, the seller and the buyer. Okay, so there has to be not both parties will be happy. Okay, but we have to find a happy medium. Okay, where it's a win-win situation for both parties. Okay. Next one is, so obviously we also are seeing new opportunities that we have um, encountered. Number one, there it's unemployment benefits and disaster relief programs. So I've actually received today an email from one of the boards saying that some realtors have already started receiving their unemployment benefits. I have not spoken to any agent yet, but I did receive an email from one of the boards stating that realtors have started to receive the unemployment benefits. If you need more information on that, go to the floridarealtors.com website, .org website for more information, because and I did create a Facebook video about this. If you applied before April 4th, you have to reapply, and after you reapplied, you're going to be denied. That's part of the process. So you'll be denied, and then you'll have to reapply it again. Okay. The disaster relief program, which is actually the EIDL program, I've already spoken to several agents that have received that um, uh, uh, the money for that. Now, I did mention this the last time at the previous broker roundtable, the marketing materials that are out there to reach out to prospects if you are interested in getting more listings. So I've seen Prospect Plus and Express Docs. They have some really great materials, some really great flyers that you could be mailing out to potential sellers. Okay. And they are absolutely very reasonable as well. I've seen the prices. I think that if you are interested in getting more listings, then those two companies, you do want to check them out and create some nice flyers, and they're good quality too, I've seen. So I mentioned this before the last time during the last broker roundtable. It was a great opportunity to be contacting prospects, past customers. You're not cold calling, you're actually calling just to see how they are doing, just be genuine and express concern. And this will allow you to be a guidance, right, or a person or of a resource. um, Perhaps they lost their job, and sometimes unfortunately fear just paralyzes people and in their way of thinking, and they just freeze, right, and they just don't know what the next step what the next step should be. And perhaps you could be that person that could offer them guidance. It's not all about, making a sale, right? And I've mentioned this before. Um, some of the customers that I've received most referrals from are people that I've never even sold them a house. It's just people that I was able to be a service to them by telling them and guiding them what they should be doing. And that's what we should be doing as realtors. We should be providing guidance and being resourceful. So, take advantage of the call, making those calls. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. I speak to agents who tell me, well, I don't know if I should be calling people during this time. And, they feel like if they call people, they're not going to get positive feedback, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at the positive feedback that you will get. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it may be all positive. You may get some, one here and there who may not appreciate the call, but for the most part, I can tell you that you will be getting a positive response. So during this downtime, right? So we have opportunity to do more things. And one of those is we should be looking at our Zillow profile and go in there, make sure that you have an updated picture, make sure that all your, that you have received credits for all your sales. I have found that sometimes your sales, not all your sales will appear on your Zillow profile. So there's actually a way to go in there and type in the address of the property that you sold and claim that sale. Okay, so go back, look at your profile, make sure that you receive credits for your sales, and with today's and everyone going online, checking you out first, they're going to be seeing your Zillow profile. So you want to make sure that your Zillow profile, it is up to date. Make sure that you're getting reviews too. I made a few phone calls last week to some of my past customers, and I told them that, just to see how they were doing. And I said, hey, by the way, I'm going to be sending you a link from Zillow so you could write a review, because I noticed that I did not have reviews from them. So you want to take advantage of this downtime, if you have downtime, to get those reviews, because those reviews are important. Okay, the more reviews you get, the better it is for you and your business, obviously. One of the things that I mentioned last time was, sharpening your skills and just practicing the buyer agreement, right? Summer is coming, and school, Lord willing, will restart in August. So there's a lot of families that are going to be looking for homes to be able to move in before the new school year starts. Okay. So it is important. So you're probably going to be working with a lot of buyers. So that's why it's important that you practice a buyer agreement. Okay. If you don't use one, I encourage you to start using one. I talk to agents all the time who call me because they were working with an agent, they were working with a customer, and they spent, time. And next thing you know, the buyer now purchased with another realtor. So they call me very upset to see what can be done. And, the first thing that I'm always going to ask is, did you have a buyer agreement? So you want to make sure that you practice the buyer agreement, especially also the 425. I had an agent last week who, reached out to me and said, I'm getting a listing and I really need to practice how to present the 425 to the seller. So these are things that you can be doing during this downtime. Practice. If you want to practice with me, like I said, I had that agent who reached out to me last week, and I gave, I was able to role play with him, okay, on how to go about it. Because the 425 transaction fee, you could pass that on to the buyer, you could pass it on to the seller, okay. Um, Again, sharpening your negotiation skills. One thing that I do see is um, agents who do not negotiate their home repairs um, request in writing, okay? And unfortunately, later on, before closing, they run into issues, or even past closing, they run into issues, and then they're calling me after the deal closed. So it is very important that when it comes to home repairs requests, you put those in writing, okay? And it is important that you put on there um, a expiration period, okay? So if the buyer is requesting for the seller to replace a ceiling fan, for example, even though that's not really a warranted item, but I'm just giving you an example. You want to give an expiration date. You want to say, okay, by May 20th, the seller agrees to replace a ceiling fan. And also um, try to get receipts as well, okay? A ceiling fan is easy to go back and look and see and say, oh, okay, yes, they replaced it, right? But there are some repairs that you're going to need proof. You're going to need receipts, okay? Because you can't just go in there at plain view and see what it was done, okay? So make sure that you're requesting for receipts. Make sure that you are putting a deadline there, um, because if you just leave it up to the seller and you leave it up to him to decide when he's going to do it by, and not provide you with any receipts, and then you don't have proof that it was done, okay? So we don't want to run into any problems before closing, when, like, for example, when you get to the final walkthrough, when you see that it was not done, or if it was done, it wasn't done correctly. So make sure that you sharpen your negotiation skills during this downtime. The other thing that I wanted to mention is create a list of contractors. Okay, create a list of um, electricians, plumbers, home inspectors. Okay, make sure that you are referring 2 or 3 home inspectors. So this is a time to work on that list. Okay, and reach out to these contractors and get feedback from them as well. And that way, when you are, working with a buyer or working with a seller, you're able to say, okay, well, I was just talking to a plumber and he told me that, he's very busy right now. So again, these are things that when people listen to you, they know that you are doing this full time, that you are actively working, you know what's going on in the market. Okay. So build that list of contractors and reach out to these contractors, and don't be afraid of asking them for your business as well. Let them know, hey, I'm going to put you on my list of contractors, and I'll be giving you business, and I would like to get business from you as well. Okay, because we get business from contractors as well. If we're going to give them business, then we want to get some business back from them. Okay. And lastly is every MLS has a market watch. It's a market watch tab. Okay, so make sure that you are visiting that market watch tab at least once a week. Okay, so you could see what activity has happened for the week before, new listings, pendings, withdrawals, temporary the market. Um, again, you want to know what's happening in the market, because this is what you do for a living, and people are going to be asking you, hey, what do you think about the market? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what should I list? Should I not list? And you should be able to provide them with statistics, right? You should be able to tell them, well, I just saw that we had 100 homes back on the market last week. So if you're working with a buyer, now you could tell them, hey, we just had another 100 homes hit the market last week. So you want to go out there and start looking at homes because now you have more to select from, right? If you see the pending sales and you're working with a seller, right? And he's kind of like on the edge. Well, I'm not sure if I should list or not. And you say, hey, I just saw that 150 homes went pending last week. So there is some activity. It is a good time to put your house on the market because the buyers that are out there right now are serious buyers. Okay. If you are a buyer right now looking for a home, it's because you are serious. You're not playing games, right? So make sure that you are keeping an eye on, your area, your market, and you're familiar with what's happening, what's going on. That way, when you are in front of a buyer or a seller, um, you know how to answer their questions with facts, okay? Not just talking to talk, right? Let them know, hey, I was looking at the market report, and this is what I saw. And you give them information based on a fact, based on facts, okay? Not just what your opinion is, okay? I did see that someone had a question. So if you have any questions, you may start typing them. I am going to see, um, blank buyer's agreement. Yes. So the blank buyer's agreement is actually in Form Simplicity. Okay. So if you go to Form Simplicity, actually, I believe Transaction Desk has one too. So if you go to Transaction Desk or Form Simplicity, you can type in their buyer's agreement and you'll see if you have any difficulty finding it, just let me know and I'll shoot it over to you. I could email it to you. But yes, the buyer's agreement, great question. Yes, the buyer's agreement, it's in Form Simplicity and on Transaction Desk. Any other questions before we go ahead and end? I want to keep this short because I know last time I did go um, over the time that I normally do. And I know that a lot of people need to have kids at homes and they're homeschooling. So, by the way, if you are homeschooling, my heart goes out to you. I know it's not one of the best thing. Well, I should say, it's not for the faint of heart. I should say, it's not easy. So, alrighty. Well, it does not look like we have any. Oh, hold on. Let me see here. We do have another question. Has anyone done any virtual staging yet? I do not know that we've had any agents on virtual staging, but I do know that we had some agents do virtual open houses, and I believe they had like 17. I believe I mentioned that the last time. They had like 17 visitors, so that was a success. Okay, hold on. I think I got one more question here. Let's see here. Alrighty, potentially save a lot of. Yes, it could potentially save a lot of money. That is true too. And again, that's a great way to look up in your MLS and see what tools you can be using for that, because especially if it's a vacant home with no furniture in it, it does make a difference. So thank you for that. Okay, any other questions? And you guys know where to find me. If you are not on Facebook, if we're not friends on Facebook and you are not part of the Florida Agents Facebook page, send me a friend request so I could go ahead and add you to it, because I do weekly videos and I share a lot of information. So And also, you know where to find me. My direct number, the 941-544-0865 number. And we doesn't look like we have any more questions. So guys, thank you so much for attending. You guys have a wonderful week. Let me know if I could help in any way. Take care, guys.